So I'm the DASBE manager, and I'll talk about DASBE further on in the slides. And I'm from the Flexible and Work-Based Learning in Technological University of Midwest. I started off working on EU projects, so I know an awful lot about the research side of things, and I've known TU Dublin for a long time. So that's it. And what I'm going to talk today is about DASBE and how we can assist you in the construction industry to upskill. So it's not just the digital side of things, because the digital side of things come into everything. Everything you deal with has some technology or BIM or other digital areas. So I'm just going to talk about the challenges that Emma's just talked about. There's also other challenges within the whole of the construction spectra. So we have to consider the rapid changes in planning, building regulation, climate action, as well as the digitalisation aspects of things. What you need as an industry, fast development of programs to upskill. They need to be accessible. If you're living in Waterford, you can still do a course in Galway if you need to. So it has to be blended and online. It has to be that you can get access to. It has to be smart. And when I say smart, it has to be up to date. There's no point doing programs which of no use to in this modern industry. Trouble is very fragmented at the moment in Ireland, from higher education, further education and private. There's so much out there, there's lots of trainings out there. What we're trying to do is bring them all together, so it's easy for you to find what you need to do to upskill. And the speed to market, we need to work faster in some of these programs, and one way of doing that is doing a lot of shorter programs, so you're still able to work and still upskill in your own time. Lack of drivers, and it's the right time to upskill and reskill, and it's always a problem with the industry, finding that time. So I'm just going to quickly go through the skills and gaps, and this informs us in what we need in programs. So the first one is, what's happening in Ireland, where the skills, what's needed. There's also look at it from the European point of view, because what's happening in Europe also affects us dramatically, and quite a lot more so than you think it does. So there's also the Future Skills Network expert group. They have developed quite a few reports, and the first one was Demand for Skills, which was done in 2020. Then we looked at the residential retrofit, electrification, renewables, and also artificial intelligence. So there's lots of reports there informing us where the gaps are, what are the needs. We're involved significantly with those. There's also from the SOLIS side, from the further education side, they've done lots of reports as well. Now, this is the part that I've been working with in 2012. We started on QualiBuild, which is the first energy efficiency courses that were rolled out. So all these are what we've developed now. The NZEB you see there are the programs we wrote for the educational trainer boards. So they're rolling out at the moment in further education. So there's lots of courses there. A lot of those are free. So, if you need to send anyone, have a look at the Fetch website. Then there's a lot of informative ones. We did a lot of monitoring in super homes of houses, how to improve the whole processes. We've worked a lot of Europeans, and the bottom one, the retrofit, is the big thing at the moment. So we've been doing a lot of work, especially with the IGBC and the Green Building Council on that. And then we've moved into circular economy. So we have green procurement, which is the GUP, and BuzzGo Circular, which is actually still running. And in particular, looking at green roofs, because that's my thesis. That's my baby, as I call it. So I've been doing a lot of work with BuzzGo Circle on green roofs and bringing it in this country, because we don't have a programme for it. There's no proper training for it. The construction blueprint is the one that has evolved from the start. It's a 5-year programme. It's just finishing. And that is really, really important EU project. And there's 21 countries involved in this. And it's to inform Europe what we're going to do for the next 5 years or 10 years for the construction industry. So there's a lot of information that's been fed through that. This next stream is about digitalisation. So BIMSEED is one that we did, BIMSA TU Dublin did, Arise, again TU Dublin, and the Build Digital programme. So they're all these new ones, they're sort of finishing off or starting with from a digital point of view and informing, again, in industry. The last two, which is just going to bring the two up there, is Human Tech and Odin. Human Tech is a new TUS programme, that's just a TUS programme. that we're working on, and it's about looking at robotics, it's looking at wearables, and it's looking at digital twin. And what's so important with that is a research. So it's a 9 million project, but it's looking at how to improve the wearables on site. So you don't have this big clunky equipment that you've got to wear for looking, on site, looking at AR, etc. So we're really developing and moving forward in that. Same with robotics. It's all to do with health and safety, in particular with robotics. So that's one of the big features. Odin is the sister project, which we're not involved in, but we are taking information from there. The bottom two, which is Accord and Check, they're looking at digital building permits. And I'm semi-involved in those, but we've now got approved for another tender, which is actually doing training across all 27 member states of Europe in teaching people on digital building permits. Aims predominantly at the county councils, but it will overflow into the industry itself as well. And that's going from planning all the way through construction drawings, fire, disability, all the way to BACAR, and then doing the actual passports. So BIM comes into that big time. So that's something to look forward to in the future. These all feed into DASBE, feeding into our trainings. Well, not just the ones we're doing at the moment, but also feeding into other technological university trainings, which we will bring into DASBE. So what is DASBE? Digital Academy for Sustainable Built Environment, and there's a QR code which you'll see all the way through, which takes you to the website, so you can pick up that anytime. So I'm the DASBE manager, as I say, and the main aim, or define the vision, as Emma says, is it seeks to create a national digital platform to upskill and reskill the construction industry. And when I say construction industry, I'm not just talking about SMEs or the professionals or the workers. I'm talking about manufacturers and the building providers, because they're all telling you information, so they need to be trained to tell you the correct information. But the main objectives in this is to develop this platform and host accredited online and blended learning programs in different fields. So we're talking about energy efficiency, circular economy, digitalisation. They're the three main themes, but there's crossovers in a lot of these. Then rapidly design, develop and deploy short programs to respond to what you need as an industry, but also what's needed from a technological point of view, and also from policy needs as well. And then we expand the DASBE consortium. We're hoping by 2024. We're trying to try and start the end of this year, and that's to ensure its sustainability. So we're trying to bring in the other TUs. We currently, as you see along the bottom, there's ourselves, TUS. We also have the Atlantic Technological University. So they merged with Galway, Mayo, Sligo and Letterkenny. And if you're not sure about Technological University, we were Limerick Institute of Technology at one time. And before that, we're Tipperary Institute, so we've changed quite a few times. I'm based in Thurles. And that joined with Athlone. So there's actually 5 old Institute of Technologies involved. Then we have Tipperary Energy Agency and the Irish Green Building Council. So the idea is to start bringing in the other TUs. So we've got TU Dublin, we've got CitA and we've got NTU, as well as bringing through with the education training boards as signposting. And that's the important part. The last one is signposting to training networks. So you talk about CIF, we talk about Fetch, you talk about CP SkillNets. So we can signpost and bring them to one platform. So you just need to go to one platform and find out all the trainings that you need to do or want to do. And this is it, bringing it all together. So we will intend to cover low energy buildings all the way to virtual reality. Shouldn't really say low energy now, it should be zero energy, it should be positive buildings. So that's where we're leading to. Rapid design, development and deployment of all these courses, and the online blended face-to-face approaches. And although we do push online and blend, we really do push the blended, because there's always that practical element or workshop that you need. I mean, I was just listening to Emma, what she presented, that would be a fantastic workshop within a programme. So this is what we're trying to look for from industry. What can we bring? Because you're, in some cases, the experts. We need to bring you in. You're the front runners. And then we set up easily accessible and usable platform. And that's really important, because you're looking at using a mobile phone, 3 clicks. You need to be able to get to where you want to go in 3 clicks, not 20 clicks. So this is why it's taken a long time, a lot of red tape, a lot of bits and pieces we've got to sort out. So it's just starting to roll out now, the platform. We've just got the back end sorted after major, major challenges, but we're getting there. And we're connecting the e-learning platform that we use at the moment for accredited courses in technology universities called Moodle, and that's now connected to the platform. So you create your own training page for yourself, and you can choose which courses you want to do, and you can save all your information. So all your certificates can be saved in one place, so you're not looking for them somewhere else. But it also enables access to micro-credentials through to major awards. So major awards you're probably familiar with, the Bachelor of Arts, the Masters, there's higher diplomas, etc. Micro-credentials, we've had a long time in technological universities. We're running a lot of 10 credits, but a lot of 5 credits. What we can do now in technological university, we've been approved to do 1 credit programs, and that's 20 hours of learning, putting it into layman's terms. So a lot of these 5 credit modules are 100 hours. People can't spend all that time, but you can build up in your own time, do 1 credit, then another credit, then another credit. And that's useful for you, that's what you need to do. 5 credit may be enough, you don't have to do the full certificate because you don't need that other information. You only need this information right now. So that's what we're starting to do now. Connecting research and development, really, really important. So we're continually adding in new information, especially from Europe and from international quarters from across the Atlantic Sea there. Connecting industry demand with local provision and your knowledge. We want your knowledge brought into our programs to teach other people. Sharing, collaboration is the key word, I think. So digital platform, I've already talked about this, the industry needs, being collaborative, and we're doing an awful lot of VR at the moment, because that's really important. If you can imagine going onto a building site, or going into a building which is major health and safety issues, if you have asbestos or you have problems, we need to be able to get in there and show the students the problems. So we're using virtual reality. I'll talk about those a little bit later. These all go into flexible programs. As you see, we talked about face-to-face, talking about minor, major and special purpose awards on micro-credentials, leading into platform. This platform will signpost, host and help to inform you. And this is a platform, log in, we have the 3 themes I talked about, and then you can explore your own program, so you can the search engine within there. So I say this is just up and running, say in about 2 months' time it should be well usable for majority of people. There'll be a lot more added to it. There's already programs on there you can link onto. But I just want to talk the 6 key golden things that are happening at the moment. And this is informed from all the research that we've done. You all know the first one, BIM, whether it's information or whether it's modelling. The key words, again, collaborative and real time. You know, that's why BIM is so important, so useful for the industry. Digital twin experts, BIM coordinators, desperately needed in not just Ireland, right across Europe. Huge demand for those. The next one is what we're working a lot at the moment at TU Dublin, and that's drone imaging and 3D scanning. So using drones and LiDAR 3D scanning, the top one is the LiDAR that you put in the building, pick up all the information for you. There's also robotic dogs now, which are great. If you want to go in a building that you can't enter yourself, send in that dog. Same as a bomb disposal, same sort of technology. The bottom picture, that's my campus, that's Thurles campus down there at the bottom. We're doing drone courses at the moment in Thurles, as well as Athlone, and hopefully in Galway as well. We're lucky enough to have areas that we can fly drones without any major issues. We're not like Dublin where you're restricted. So, and again, that's a blended course. That I'll talk about those later. BIM specialists, and it's specialising in imaging, able to capture what you have to do, to scan to BIM, to create this information so it can feed into not just the programmes, but also into your line of work. If you're on site, on a big site, you'll be using drones to pick up what's there already. So we're using this in particular in our retrofit programmes, because you need to gather that information. So drone operators, imaging technology specialists, desperately needed as well. AR, VR functions. So very, very useful for planning construction projects. So you know, in BIM, you use them for render, you use them for modelling, you can walk through programs with your BIM. So, you know, there's that aspect of it, the walkthrough aspect. But there's also what we're doing in DASBE. When you scan to BIM or you're using an existing building, sometimes you don't quite get the parts that you need to get, especially in traditional buildings. You know, walls are undulating, they're all over the place. Sometimes you have to go into a bit more detail. And this is where the VR actually comes to its own. You know, you're able to pick up absolutely everything within that, and you're able to demonstrate it and showcase to people. Especially for students, if you think about a student, you know, they need to understand what's there and how to deal with these different things. So what we're doing in DASBE, we're developing VR educational tools. That's what's concentrating at the moment to help with the trainings. And one course we looked at is detecting defects and finding cause. So we're going into a building that we can't physically take them to. So we have the VR and we can show them what they've got to look for and investigate and find. We're also at the Thurles campus, we're using that as a big virtual living lab. And we're going to show people how to install PV properly, how to do heat pumps, how to chase walls. So it's going to be used by the ETBs as well for the electrical and plumbing areas. One big breakthrough we're doing is doing some VR quizzes, which are really, really useful, and we can transfer those into BIM. You know, there's always a crossover between the two, and able to create them as part of the learning process as well, making it a bit more exciting rather than boring quizzes. So there's a lot involved there, and you know that Microsoft HoloLens and Spectacles, etc., are the big forerunners in this, and the Metaverse and the MetaQuest. So the fourth one I'm looking at is automation and robotics. This is moving so fast for the construction industry. So this is the next key thing that we need to consider. Those wearables that you see there, top right-hand corner, they're almost out of, you know, technology-wise, they're so, I won't say backward, but they're not what's coming down the road. What coming down the road now is just little vests and little glasses, and, you know, it's amazing what's there now. So that's what we're doing in human tech, part of the ecoskeletons. You see the robotic man there on the left-hand side. I mean, what we have at the moment is hard hats with tracking sensors. You have smart boots, you have watches, you have glasses, you know, with open windows for augmented reality. You have all sorts of technologies there. And the idea of that is to really relieve the stress. So it picks up sensors, not just where you are on site, if you're on a big site, to help with the programming and organisation, but also if you're doing things correctly, are you lifting things properly? So it's all for your health and safety. You know, there's huge benefits in using these. I use smart badges, and the helmet have these little tags that can send things to the whole BIM process. So as Emma said, BIM is so important. And as a contractor on site, you don't have to have Revit. Use Navisworks. They're all interconnected, all these different variations. People say, oh, it's too expensive to what you're using. There's options. There's lots of options. So I'll move quickly on. Prefabrication, 3D printing. Prefabrication, we know what's happening there. Modular construction is coming down the road. We need to get some of these buildings up fast. 3D printing, I love the one at the bottom right-hand side, what are called little beehives. They actually use recycled waste products. And that's really, really important now. Circular economy, using waste and recycling products, that is where we're going. I mean, you don't have to do the funky beehive things there, but, you know, it's a products issue and using 3D printing. So if you're doing mass production or something, it's a very useful thing to use. And they are coming down dramatically in price, the whole machinery for it. So the last slides and talk about what we have at the moment on DASBE, what we're pushing through, and there's going to be lots more suddenly being added into this. We're only starting to roll these out now. We've concentrated on retrofit because that was needed as part of the transition. But when I say retrofit, it includes digitalisation, it includes circular economy. So the basics ones there, yes, you all know about the BIM, the standard ones there, but the ones I highlight in yellow are the sort of slightly different ones that have quite an effect on for yourselves as SMEs, really useful ones to do. When I say certificate's usually about 10 modules, 10 to 15 credits. So if you think about 5 credits, that's 100 hours, and you spread that over 15 weeks, so or even over 30 weeks. So it's doable while you're working. You know, it's talking about 2 hours a week, maybe 3 hours a week. So there's postgraduate diploma in BIM and digital leadership. That's at Atlantic Technology University, I think. And there's a certificate in heat pump installation, commissioning, maintenance and servicing. The first of its kind at that level. ETB do the heat pump, and this goes into that next level at further education. And what's useful with DASBE is that it may be accredited in Technology University, Shannon, but also at ATU. But we're able to share that accredit. So if a course is extremely popular, we're able to run it in 2 places. And that's the whole point of DASBE. So when the new TUs come in, we'll be able to spread it nationally. And that's really important. So I know when my children were going to college, Dublin was struck off the register straight away. There's no way could we go to Dublin and stay there and live there for them. So too expensive for us lads. So, you know, it makes the availability to do courses in Dublin. That's the whole point of this, is to enable you to spread it across the island. So these are the ones, these are the retrofit ones, the higher diploma residential energy retrofit management. That's the first of its kind in Ireland. We've done the fabric last semester. We're running the systems at the moment, and the management will be in September. Thing with this, you can just do the certificates. You don't have to do all of them. So if you just interested in fabric and you have no benefit of understanding about systems, you don't need to know about systems, you don't need to know about heating and ventilation and smart buildings. Just stick with the fabric, which is looking at air tightness, the fabric, and detect defects. So, you know, you can pick and choose what you want to do and build up your own training plan. The next one is postgraduate diploma in the built environment regulation. And again, 3 certificates. This is at ATU. So built environment regulation, you can do fire safety or the conservation and environmental services. And then the last one is a certificate, and that's the one we're worked with the Heritage Council. So the first module, fundamentals, learning, some amazing guest speakers came in, and the second one is doing the defects module. So if you've done the defects module for one course, you're exempt from doing it on another. So just bear that, you know, when you're working with this. And that's worked really, really well, especially from the architectural point of view, because traditional buildings, completely pre-1940s, completely different to most buildings now. So you have to deal with them differently when you're retrofitting. Then this is what's new. This is what's coming soon. The first 3, the ones in yellow are the really important ones. So high diploma in engineering in virtual design and construction. Built again into 3 certificates. So we have certificate in scan to BIM, certificate in engineering and construction data capture and analytics, and then 3D laser scan technology. So you can pick and choose what you want to do. And again, those certificates are about 2 to 3 hours a week. So it's doable when you're doing your working still as well. Then we have a green procurement construction. The last 3, then you have the certificate in drones for construction. This is the drone course I was talking about. That's a level 6, and we purposely left it at level 6, not going into level 7. It opens the doors for the young people in particular. Huge interest in this. We're hoping to start that in March, and we're already at capacity. So, and we'll be running it again in September. So that is a really popular one. If it is extremely popular, we won't just do Thurles, we'll do Athlone or maybe Galway. So the popularity dictates how often we run these courses. Then certificate in residential retrofit site coordination. This is the old Clerker Works. You remember Clerker Works on site? Distant memory for a lot of us, but so we're bringing this out, and this is collaborative with Lee Shoffley Education Training Board. So you see how we collaborate with the it's important to do that. So the first module they'll be running, we will probably take over the site coordination, and the Emma's demonstration works perfectly into that as well. So it's fitting it in and building up this most up-to-date that we can do for site coordination. You know, we'll be looking at air tightness, getting the champions out there. We'll be looking at BIM, you know, champions as well. And that's the whole point of site coordination. Then there's virtual design and visualization to level 9 as well. I'd say we're collaborating now with industry. We're looking at some more to be added to this list. So the micro award in residential retrofit digital management. When we say micro awards, 1 credit. So that's what we're starting to look at now. This is the first one we're going to be testing out and building up to 5 credits, and then you can move forward. That fits in with the site coordination, so you can see how this sort of works. Certificate and life cycle of buildings, so that's looking at LCA, LCC, and we're working with IGBC on that, Irish Green Building Council, to accredit their programmes. So it gives it a bit more strength rather than doing do non-credited programmes. Then certificate in building, digital building permits and passports. So that comes from the trainings that we're working on at the moment, the research that we're doing at the moment. So DASBE at info.ie, if you need to get in touch with me anyway. And this is the quick conclusion. So its challenge is immense, we know that. But we're trying to accommodate everyone that we can. I know you're all totally overstretched, which is the reason why we're doing these small modules for you, so you can build up your own. At one place, you don't spend hours trying to find courses that hopefully will be in one location. Digital online training, micro-credential badges, alternative delivery modes as well, and that's really, really important. But we need support from yourselves in the industry and educators. What can we do next? What can we produce for the construction industry? And I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you.